Hi everyone, I'm Lana from the Top Voices, and today we are going to answer some questions from the internet. Our guest today is Jaron Soh, the founder of Voda, and that provides mental health support for the LGBTQIA plus community. So, Jaron, new startup and zero followers. How are you getting traffic?
Yeah, so what's really worked for Voda when we first started is building in public, and that helped us find early adopters for our mental health apps, but eventually also found us our investors who heard about us months before we started fundraising. So when I first started Voda, I used both LinkedIn and TikTok, and we use it both for organic reach. So on TikTok, what we did was sharing about my story of how I started an LGBT mental health app and why I started it, and talking about how I really struggled growing up gay in Singapore. And that did really well. That brought us a few thousand, 100,000 views and our early community. And as for LinkedIn, I also shared how I built our MVP in 2 weeks on a no-code platform, and how I just adapted my Figma designs into a working app, and that brought us a lot of attention from investors, other founders, many of whom are LGBT themselves, and that's how we got our first early users. So I would say, yeah, definitely build in public, and secondly, you can also build in public through thought leadership and op ads. So what I do a lot with Voda is I regularly pitch different articles to LGBTQIA plus publications, but also general news publications to give our thoughts on LGBT mental health, the issues with the current mental health care system, and also thoughts on how currently politics and the media affect LGBT mental health, and that in a way also builds our credibility. And all this then together gives you more credibility, which brings me to the last point. So building in public, pitching news channels. And what we're able to do since then is leverage the existing communities from organizations and charities. So now that we've been doing what we're doing for quite some time, LGBTQIA plus charities are quite keen to work with us. And with that, we've been able to reach out to and spread what about Voda through the existing service users. So hundreds of thousands of people that use existing LGBTQIA plus charities across the UK. We've worked with many of them.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So the next question is a tricky one. Are you using your product?
Yeah, absolutely. So Voda was born from my personal experiences with going to therapy. I first went to therapy with a straight therapist, and that wasn't very good until I met a gay therapist, and he really understood my life experience. And that gave me an idea to start Voda. And so now I'm no longer in in-person therapy, but I still use Voda every day for my mental health. Yeah, so that I'm a power user of the app myself. That helps me be very product focused and product obsessed. It helps me find out things about the app that I don't like, that are too slow, and helps me cut it out and work with the team on it. So yeah, I use Voda every day.
Okay, great. Next one. What's more important in an entrepreneur, ideation or execution?
Yeah, I think both are really important, but I think execution wins. I think in this day and age, it's about how fast you could test your ideas. We still have like dozens of ideas on our comment boards that we have not been able to test just yet. I think being a founder and entrepreneur is being able to prioritize your ideas and thinking what would make the best impact and highest impact, but also is relatively within your means to achieve and execute. So yeah, definitely execution. Strong execution builds momentum, and oftentimes, for us, we see it as different projects over time to test out different propositions. For example, we had the idea of, recently trying to really understand trans people's mental health needs. So we surveyed about over 2,000 trans people to understand their needs. We then released a bunch of programs about that. And then quickly after, we executed a press campaign, which is just launched today. We are launching a big trans mental health report campaign today, and we're going to use the insights to figure out how to work with organizations and place Voda within the ecosystem. So as a mental health app, being able to support those organizations when they are lacking in serving trans mental health needs.
Great. Thank you so much. And the next one is, what inspired you to start your business?
So, my experience, very much similar to my team's experience. We all grew up LGBTQIA plus in different parts of the world. For me, I grew up gay in Singapore. And for the most part of my childhood, I struggled a lot with anxiety, but I wasn't able to tell my family because I couldn't tell them what was causing my anxiety without coming out. And I also couldn't tell the medical professionals around me because then they would tell my parents. uh, and so what inspired me to start Voda was the fact that I wasn't able to access the right mental health care when I was a child and growing up. I wasn't able to access healthcare accessibly, in an accessible way, but also in a discreet way. I didn't have any resources that I could access without my family knowing. And so that's what gave us the idea to build Voda as a mental health app, because it's a lot more discreet than, say, talking therapies or Zoom therapy, because someone might overhear you if you live with your parents. So yeah, that's what I guess my shame from growing up is what inspired me to start my business. And it's very much the same for my co-founders as well.
The best products are growing from personal stories. So, and the last question is, which one do you pick? A, charge first customers and risk slower growth, or B, start with free offer and get first reviews?
This is such a good question. It's something that we struggle with a lot. Um, I think in the beginning, perhaps start with a free offer to get first reviews, and that's what we definitely did in the start, because we didn't have much of a product when we first started. We only had 8 programs on our mental health app, and that's not something that we could really charge. So with those 8 programs, what we did is we did a beta study to understand the impact of those programs on LGBT people, get users. But over time, we really had to push ourselves to charge customers, because you never know if you're building something that is needed if you don't actually charge for it. And I think a lot of founders are very scared of charging in the beginning, especially if they've offered something for free. So right now, what we do is we believe that everyone, because of the space that we're in, I believe that everyone deserves mental health support, regardless of their income background. So we do provide free scholarships that those who write in and complete a application form, and we also provide a discount to people who are low income. But we make it a point now to charge people for a service. That being said, Voda costs £55 a year, which is less than the price of a single therapy session. That in itself is still very affordable, but yeah, I would say start with a free offer to get first reviews, but also to get product feedback, so you can actually build something and iterate and have your speed of iteration very fast. But soon after, don't be afraid to charge people for your service. Especially in our space, in healthcare or mental health care, a lot of people are quite averse to paying, especially in the UK, because many people believe, and I do believe, healthcare is a universal right. But in our case, we have a team. We have a team of therapists that work with us on our content, and we need to pay ourselves a wage, and also, provide a healthy returns to our investors. And that's why very soon you have to charge customers, and then you know where you can deliver and create the most value for those who are using a service.
Okay, I certainly agree with you. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And thank you, Jaron, for the session. This was great. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.